Hello and welcome to Reconnect. This is your host, Barry Phillips. Thank you for taking the next 25 minutes and spending with me as we discuss the Word together. We have a very special opportunity for you today. I'll tell you about it in just a moment. I'd like to thank those that have been writing in to our website, which is Remnant of Israel, Israel spelt with a Y, Y-I-S-R-A-E-L. remnantofisrael.com. Thank you for your comments, for your questions, for your encouragement. And if you haven't done so yet and you'd like to express your thoughts on the programming, some ideas that you'd like to hear discussed, feel free to do so. Just contact me on the contact page of that website. You'll also notice that on the front page there is a yellow donate button. I don't mention this very often, but if the Father would direct you to support us in any way, that's a great place to start. And we greatly covet your prayers more than anything else. We appreciate your support financially through prayer and through your encouragement. Today I have with me a couple of very special people that this program will be the content of an interview of sorts with them. And basically, we're just going to sit and talk together, and hopefully you'll enjoy listening along. But I think you'll find some information and some encouragement that will be helpful to you. I'm very privileged to be in the home of Mike and Kathy Clayton, who have become very dear friends of my wife Laura and I. We've known each other now since about 1999-ish. Can we say it that way? Ish. And I'm at the moment on a little bit of a speaking tour through Georgia, and their home here in Western North Carolina is close to that border. Just privileged to have some time to spend with them, and they've become like family to us. We have a lot of opportunity to converse with Mike and share with him through radio programming, but we don't often hear from Kathy. So today is a very rare opportunity that most people are not, I'll even go so far as say privileged to hear.
Well, I'll even go so far as to say, Captain Kirk, you've done something. You've gone where no man has ever dared to go before.
And no man may go after this if we'll see how this turns out.
Good afternoon, Barry.
No,
Good to be here,
I'm
really.
glad to have you, Kathy.
I'm glad to have you here in our house this week.
Well, thank you very much for your hospitality. She's a good cook.
Yeah.
I haven't gone hungry yet so far.
Yeah, you got 24 hours left.
We'll see how it goes. Mike, you spend about how many days a year on the road and away from home? How many would you average, you think?
I really don't even keep track anymore, Barry. It depends on the month. It depends on the year. And right now, I've been really busier than I have for a number of years. I never really thought I'd be back to this kind of schedule. In the month of June, I slept on 8 different beds, which is not a record. My record is 18. But I'm out. I'm out a lot on the road. And 1 month I may be on the road for 10 days and plus a couple of weeks. I haven't been home for a Shabbat now for, I think, 5 weeks. And
wow.
So, it's been a busy time and great opportunities. I'm not in any way, I'm not complaining at all, just kind of report of what's going on. There's a lot of hunger out there, a lot of opportunities for ministry.
Yes.
And so that's what we're involved in. But yeah, I'm on the road a lot.
So you're somewhere 10 days to 2 weeks, kind of, at the moment, that kind of...
Probably average out. Yeah.
Okay. So, Kathy, that means that you're home, keeping the home and taking care of things here. And lest anyone have the idea, well, that means that she's basically sitting back watching TV and enjoying control of the remote. And
getting control of the remote, which I have to break her of when I get home.
That's true, but that's for next week. That's next week's show. What is it like for the ministry partner, not being on the road, but being home and offering support? How are you supporting this ministry? What would you say is the the vital part of your role, being behind the scenes? I mean, that's what people would think. It's not a glamorous thing, is it?
Well, that's a really good question, Barry, and I'm really thrilled that you asked me to come on your show today. There's a lot of misconception out there about the other half of the guy that's up there behind the pulpit. Mike's been doing this for more years than I can remember, and to stay home is not always glamorous, like you say, but it is a vital part of the Join to Hashem ministry. I run the office. I'm in the office every day. I send out the messages that Mike does every month. I keep the answering the phone. Like Mike knows the faces of the people that he stands in front of, but I know their names, their husbands' names, their prayer requests, their challenges. And when the phone rings, I know who it is and I know what their problems are. So we like to put a face to everybody that calls the office, that donates to Join to Hashem. And that's my biggest job. My second biggest job is to make sure Michael can be on the road with a clear mind and not have to worry about what's going on at home.
Mm.
That's not always easy.
So are you hiding things from him until he gets back home?
I do. Sometimes I do.
Wow, I didn't know we were going to get that honest today, but yeah, it's...
I'm not talking about, the check balancing or something, but no, if, there's a problem with the dishwasher or, somebody called that needs to talk right away, I have to be that, he has to be on the road and be able to think about what he's doing. He doesn't have to be worrying about, is Kathy okay? And that isn't always easy. I was talking to Mike earlier today, and sometimes I do get to travel with him. When the children were small, I had to stay home.
Sure.
And, we had dogs and chickens in Oklahoma. We had a whole menagerie of animals. But I do get to travel now with him once in a while, which is really a nice thing, really a privilege. And the question I get asked more than anything, people will come up to me and say, so where are you and Mike heading next? Like, it's the Mike and Kathy show. And I always find that so funny because I will say to them, well, I don't travel with Mike very much. And they get this odd look on their face. And what I really want to say to them is, do you go to work with your husband every day? Which is, of course, no. Because when Mike is out on the road, he's working. It's not a vacation. It's not a holiday. He is working. And even when I do go with him, I have to be really make sure that he has the time to do everything that he has to do on the road, which is a lot. Like, what, dear? Speak up and tell him everything you do.
Yeah, we don't have the time for that one. But, it's like when we're in Israel. You're going with me on this trip. You were with me 2 years ago. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. The planning between Hanok and myself that has to happen. I do the pictures, the videos, trying to allow people to have an opportunity to experience the land. And so those are things that happen and have to happen behind the scenes. And so, it's not like we just have total control. And again, neither one of us are trying to complain here and don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. But there is another aspect that is behind the scenes when we're traveling. I feel that I'm kind of being pulled between two worlds there, because I'm wanting to see where you're at, and just the ministry that I have to have to you, and then there's this whole group of people.
Exactly.
And so it's can be kind of a difficult struggle at times.
It's a balancing act.
So Mike, let me ask you, you're out on the road. It's been, multiple Shabbats since you've been home. And for those of us that, Shabbat is the regular weekly spiritual experience of edification to the family. The wife, the children are hearing the father offer prayers and blessings in their behalf. It's that special time of rest together, study together, congregational worship together, if that's the case. You're not home. How hard a tug on your heart is it? I'm spending Shabbat with a group of people who've invited me to come and be with them, and I want to be a blessing to them, but my wife's at home by herself. What's that do to the man that's, I guess where I'm going with this is sometimes we put a big spotlight and a glamorous one on a traveling teacher and say, man, I wish,
Yes.
I could be like that and have that depth of word and travel all over and
Yeah.
meet all these people. And part of that is leaving a wife and or children at home. What does that do to you on the road?
I have jokingly, and please take the humor in this, folks, that is intended here. Some folks have said, well, when you're in the area, just come by and, and spend some time with us. And you've got a house here and you can just, we got a room that we built and you can just go enjoy that. And I appreciate that. But I sometimes will look at them and say, I would just as soon wake up in the morning and see my own wife, not somebody else's. And people are so gracious to me when I'm on the road. They really, and sometimes Kathy will get a phone call and it will be, okay, Mike's coming he's going to be with us. What are his desires? And I find out
That's
that
true.
she told him
Yes.
that, I like coconut cream pie, but then she told him he's trying to eat better, so don't give it to him. All of this is the package that happens.
Yeah.
And so I find that, I try to at least send a text and say Shabbat Shalom or something, but it's not the same as being with a person. Our children have had to deal with that through the years.
Yes.
That Dad was gone. I've made a rule years ago when I started that I would not be gone for more than 2 Shabbats in a row. I believe that I've only broken that a couple of times. Once I was in Israel, Kathy came over in the middle of that. But still, it's, I try to be home at least, every third and it's just the way it is. Now, the other side is, when I'm home on Shabbat, it's like, just allow me to go into a coma.
Yes.
And so, and I hope, Barry, this is not sounding self-serving, and I'm not wanting it to. I know Kathy isn't, but I'm speaking for a lot of the other teachers out there right now.
Correct.
That, I'm with these guys. I know the struggles that go on behind the scenes, and we can stand up there and people come up and, wow, that was great, I enjoyed it, all of these things. But still, they need to not feel sorry for us, but at least understand that when we get done with a meeting and say, I'm out of here, I'm just going to go spend some time on the phone with my wife, allow that, because there are struggles that we go through.
Yeah, it's true, Barry. We're just, more than anything, I think we would like people to know, we're just ordinary, just like them. In fact, I was with a woman just yesterday who was introduced to me from a good friend that we see regularly. And by the way, I do have several groups that I Shabbat with. We take turns going to them when Mike's not here. And that's wonderful. The groups here have really allowed me to be myself. This is the first place I can honestly say in North Carolina that we've come. And when we go to groups, they're really, really down home. And I can just be me. I don't have to be the piano player or the song leader or, bring a word of prophecy. I can just be Kathy Clayton, and that's all. And I really appreciate that.
Well, as you bring that to the discussion, Kathy, you're talking about, expectations of you. What is Kathy Clayton's personal spiritual development like? What is it that you do to keep yourself growing, maturing? Do you have resources that you go to consistently, or are you replaying Mike's teachings constantly 24 hours a day and growing because of that? Or do you have do you have another routine that you employ so that you're growing?
I do have a routine, and some people might think this is not true, but I really never get tired of listening to Mike. I really don't. He is probably...
He said, say that one more time.
I never get tired of listening to Mike. I'll put on his message of the week. He usually does 2, and so that's a good 3 hours. But yeah, I find, and Michael knows this, I'm the strongest when I'm in the Word. And I this year, for the first time, I went back to the Humash and going through that. I've went through it 3 times, but this
For
is
those
the
who don't know what that
fourth time.
is, that is
It's the Jewish. Well, actually, it is Jewish. It has Hebrew on one side and English on the
So
other,
it's some
with a
rabbinical
running
commentary.
commentary
Okay.
from rabbinic sources.
okay.
And I'm going through that this year. Besides, my favorite version is the complete Jewish Bible also. But that, I play my instruments. I play the flute. I play the keyboard on a Shabbat. I always like to get back into that and get some musical release going. Is that a good word?
Mhm.
I find it feeds my soul. But even with all of that, you do get lonely. And it would be a lie to say that I don't, because I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have my 2 dogs and my cat, but they are not a substitute for my husband. But I
That's good.
think I told you just the other night, Barry, that when Mike first decided to go on the road and we really felt this was the way the Father was leading us, it was a lot of soul searching for our family. Because I had 3 small children at that time. We've been doing this
I've been traveling
almost
now
30 years.
traveling full time for 17.
Yeah, but we've been
Coming
in
up on
ministry
18
for
years,
more than
yeah.
that. And when he started going full time, I had to say to him, you know, I can't say no to you traveling, because one day I will stand in front of the Father. And if he had to say to me, this person over here didn't hear the word because Kathy Clayton couldn't do without her husband at home.
That's a heavy thought there.
I could not do that. And so
Well, speaking of
So
that,
that goes.
knowing that you're releasing Mike to travel to do what you both feel that you're both called to do in the various
Right.
aspects of how this works, what would you say is your passion for the body of Messiah? When you think of, Mike's out there, he's teaching, and you can imagine the congregation. It's a living room group. It's a full size congregation somewhere. It's a conference or a Sukkot. You hear him talk about the people that he's encountered, the special needs that come in through the phone and email here. Out of all that, when you milk all of that he's experienced down to a core understanding of who the body of Messiah is, what is your heart cry in their behalf?
Wow, that's a really big question. Honestly, 2 things. That the Father would allow them, through hearing Mike and through for seeing and feeling his passion, that they would feel the heartbeat of Israel. That they would understand that the Father's eye never leaves his homeland. If they could just grasp the importance of the land of Israel for what has been and for what's coming, that's my heart's cry. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Second would be unity.
That's a tall
We
order.
all get very, very tired of the bickering, the ridiculousness of not being able to fellowship together because you might believe something a little bit different than I, or you might say a word different than I do. We've got to, like Michael say, we've got to play in the sandbox together. We've got to be more compassionate for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Mike, are these Clayton household values and passions, or do you have any to add or to substitute for what she just offered? Where is your passion at?
Well, I think that, and by the way, you're probably hearing our older dog Haley in the background
Demanding attention.
Yeah, well, since she wouldn't be here if it was just me and you. Molly would be here if it was you. She's got a new boyfriend now, Barry Phillips. But wherever Kathy is, Haley has to be here. She just turned 100. Our passions are the same in this. I guess that maybe the passion for Israel that came from me going the first time, but I've been blessed that the scripture talks about echad. How can two be echad if they're going in different directions? And so, have I set the stage for that, the standard for that? Has Kathy kind of caught it, or have I taught it? And I don't know if I can answer that, but I do know that we head in the same direction in these things.
Yeah.
And it would be impossible to do what I do without us being, like-minded in these things. For me to go out and anybody that knows me has heard me at all. My passion is for the land and for the coming kingdom. Right. I make no apologies for that. I told you, we were talking, we've had a great time, and we're going to have some more discussion in different programs we're doing between now and tomorrow together. But I said to you, look back at the last 6, 8, 10 messages that you've done, put together, and you'll find your passion.
Right.
Look at the titles, you'll find your passion. Mine's Israel and his kingdom to come.
Kathy, we got a couple of minutes here that I'd like to ask you one other question. Having been there and in some respects still being there, a young mom that may be listening who is new to Hebraic roots and trying to figure out, how do I do this? What is expected of me for Shabbat? How do I now raise our children? Having the years of experience that you do you have any pointers, if you will, that you could offer as a way of encouragement?
Mike and I have had 3 children, and when we got into the Hebraic roots, we got it right in the middle of the second one, our second son. But our youngest son, he was bathed in the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the difference between my daughter and my first son and our second son, the difference between the two of them, having one raised totally in Torah and the other two coming out of the, Christmas, Easter thing and entering into Torah, the difference is visual. It truly is. And so what I would say to young mothers now that know the truth of Torah, that have their children are still little, still in the home, I would just say to them, bathe them in Torah. It has to be while you're walking, while you're talking, while you're eating, while you're laying down. It truly has to be all the time. It can't be something you just do on Shabbat. Mm-hmm. It can't be, oh my gosh, it's Shabbat, let's turn on the music and let's have the bread. It can't be just one day. It's got to be an everyday thing.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Mike, in this last minute that we have, you mentioned just in passing being in the land and having on a tour. You mentioned Hanok. You're referencing Hanok Young, who is partnering with you as the tour guide on this tour. It's Connect to the Land tour.
Connect to Israel.
Connect to Israel tour. You're leaving this fall in, was it November? I believe it is.
And October, that tour, November. That one's full.
That one is full, but there is a tour that is already beginning to fill up for next year, 2018, in the fall. And they can find out more information on joinhashem.org.
Yeah.
And I encourage you, if at all possible, if you're needing to go to Israel, wanting to go, that's the way to go. I encourage you to check out that website. Thank you for your time together with us.
Thank you so much, Barry. It was fun.
And we wish everyone shalom.